Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I do want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Thanks for watching. Today is Hump Day, Stocks Day show, and the title of the show today is the next Microstrategy. We're also going to talk about the FOMC and a bunch of other stock related stuff. Look at the SPY. But before we do that, smash the like button. This does help get this channel out to more people, and of course does help support the channel, as does your wonderful comments that you take the time to write. I take the time to read and respond. Now, of course, MicroStrategy has been one of my biggest plays of 2024. Made round about 400 or 500% on that play. I shared that play here on the YouTube channel as well as in the Discords, and of course, took profit on that and completely closed out that position right near the top, actually, which worked out to be quite well. Now, of course, there is another new kid on the block, and it's going to be called 21. The ticker will be XXI, and what it is a SPAC merger, SPAC. Look that up for yourself. We're not going to go into the details of what that is, but I can tell you that the merger is Tether, SoftBank Group, and of course, Jack Mellor's launched 21 in business combination with Cantor Equity Partners. So the ticker is CEP, but it will be transferred to, and of course, the shares, any shares that you have in CEP will be transferred into the new ticker XXI. And so if any great value that grows in CEP is going to be translated into 21. This is why I am buying some CEP yesterday, and I gave it in the stocks plays in the Discord here. If you have a quick look, you can see that here it is here. Yes, CEP bounced off 28 nicely, added there. Cantor Equity Partners there. And of course, it was also in this one of the stocks plays from yesterday, along with Palantir, by the way, that $105 entries looking pretty good in pre-market trading there. Although the Fed Powell is going to speak today, so you can see there are some more targets there for CEP, such as 28, 25, 19, and 17. Of course, it was wonderful that 28 got hit, and I was able to add to the trade there. And so if we look at the CEP charts here, you can see in pre-market trading, this did get all the way up to $35 there. It's currently sitting at around $33. And you can see there we've got the Fibonacci here at 28, and it came down and tagged that perfectly. Again, absolutely nailed that to the dollar there for those that got the entry in the Tribal Trades Discord. The $28 entry got up to 35, currently at 33. Now, of course, we do have a wild card event today. Fed Powell is going to be speaking, and first and foremost, the market is pricing in over 90% that there will be no rate cut. So it seems to be that is the general consensus, and that is priced in. A couple of things. Very small percentage that the rates get cut. That would be a big surprise for the market. If that happens, I think the market would rally off of that for sure, because I think that is very positive. However, there is they say there's no QE, but the Fed has been buyers, and they have been pumping into markets. And you can see here, not just the Fed, but also China. China's central bank cuts rates and injects 1 trillion yuan. And so they are cutting rates, and quantitative easing is underway in China. And of course, the Fed just spent $20 billion on 3-year bonds, their largest single-day purchase since 2021. They're injecting liquidity into the markets. This is a form of quantitative easing. They might say that they're not, but what they do speaks louder than what they say. And there you go, thumbs up there. Well, I'm not sure we'll get a thumbs up later, but of course, they're injecting liquidity instead of cutting rates to avoid panic there. And so it really is going to come down to, what is he going to say? People are, okay, probably no rate cuts. Now it comes down to, what is his tone going to be? Is he going to be overly dovish? Is he going to be overly hawkish? Is he going to be somewhere in between? He's going to be super, super bullish. And he sees rate cuts coming up. Based off what we've heard from him, over the last month or so, I'm leaning more towards, that they're staying the same. They're watching the data. They want to see how the tariff plays out. They want to see the inflation numbers coming up. We got another CPIs coming up in about a week. 1 week from today, there'll be CPI coming in. I expect that actually to be cooling off. And then possibly that may lead to some June rate cuts. And of course, there was news that broke yesterday, and that's why the stocks and crypto rallied a little bit on that they were officially opening trade talks with China. And so that was going to be underway there with China. So let's quickly jump back to the CEP. So just be careful. There could be some volatility there, $24 to $26 level there. And then, of course, we do have a bit of a gap down here, and it's quite possible that that gets filled there between 17 and 19. So those would be the areas of interest for me. I did pick up some there at 28, and then, of course, 24 to 26, and then 17 to 19. For those who are listening in their cars, CEP is the ticker. Now, there hasn't been a fixed date that I have been able to find of when the SPAC merger and when the new ticker will go live, or what kind of allocation the CEP to, how many XXI shares or 21 shares are going to be getting. But CEP, they're going to bring to the party, obviously, Tether, which owns a lot of Bitcoin. There's 42,000 Bitcoin they're going to bring in. This is the rival to Microstrategy. So imagine being able to buy Microstrategy early. This is a possible. Now, it's high risk, of course. We don't know how well they're going, but I do like some of the players in this game. Obviously, Jack Mallers with the Lightning Network for Bitcoin, enabling lightning fast transactions on Bitcoin at very low cost, very low fees. You've got SoftBank Group involved. And then, of course, the big one, Tether, is involved. Tether is a very profitable company to actually continue to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet. So this one here is a little bit of a flyer that I'm taking a little bit of a risk on here. And of course, who knows what it can do, but I'm placing a bet here that I feel that it's going to do well, and I have confidence in it. But there is absolutely no guarantees that the CEP, which will be merged into the XXI ticker, is going to do anywhere near as well as MicroStrategy. Only time will tell. Of course, I will keep you all updated with this trade as new news breaks on this. And of course, in the Discord, I will immediately be updating there on any trades that I take or make on CEP. And of course, we have to keep an eye on the news to see when that SPAC merger is going to take place, and also when the XXI is going to happen, and when that ticker is going to go live, and so forth. We can see that there's a little bit of bearishness here. I do understand that, that the price has cooled off there. You saw that it took a huge move to the upside all the way up to around about $60 there. And so I do think over 50% down has been quite a good area to begin to add here, and obviously can go lower if we do see a drop off. There is a bit of concern. There's that big gap there between, and listen, if we were to come down all the way to $12, there's a big gap here between $10 and $12, around $10 and $12 there as well. So that would be a gap there. We might just put a little bit of a marker there as well around that $12 level. $10 to $12 level probably would be that area of real value if we were to pick that up. Generally, with a SPAC merger, it's a little bit of a sell the news event. And so that could mean that, but I feel like we've had a bit of a sell off here already. It'll generally pump up into the merger, and when the new ticker goes live, generally there'll be a little bit of a pump, and then there'll be a bit a sell off there. And so those are the areas that I'm looking at there. There's 3 areas and then one final one. I'm not sure when or if we'd ever get back down to that. As I said, this is part of the more riskier part of my stock portfolio here, taking a little bit of a flyer on this one. If you look at how well Microstrategy has done, if these guys do a better job at adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, I think this could be a real winner there. Let's have a quick look at the SPY before we wrap up here. And of course, that original entry that I gave on the SPY was all the way back down here around 408. Hasn't been a reason to jump out of the SPY. Now, if you're swing trading the SPY there, if you just want a quick in and out play here, when we see this blue line cross below the 80 on the stochastic, this could be an area to cut any trade possibly. And then of course you can see when it comes back up, you know, if those of you who've been in the Tribal Trades live sessions that I do trade with the Tribal Trades community Tuesdays and Thursdays, and usually a couple of Saturdays a month, but every Tuesday and Thursday each week. So we'll have another live session tomorrow. I do a lot of teaching there. We do a lot of live trading. It's not just live trading. I do a lot of teaching and education during that. You can find it in the Tribal Trades Discord. There's a link below in the description. You might need to click the more button. That will pop out, and there'll be a link there. And there's also the Stocks with Josh Discord link. I'm also there as a Crown Trader. I have my own channel and where I share education, insights, some of my trade setups, resources, etc. And of course, entertainment, because this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? Okay. And so there you go. You can be involved in one or both of those Discords by just going to the description of this video. What am I looking at for the SPY here? We are looking for, first of all, if we get some kind of a dovish Fed, I wish, then I'm looking at this 572 level here, which is the 200-day moving average, and then a breakout above 576. So first of all, I want to see this held as support and then tackle this level. And then this gets us above this high here, and we create a higher high. We are in the process of possibly creating a higher low here, depending, obviously this went down, but now in pre-market, we're already popped back up a little bit. To the downside, here are the levels. So those are the levels to the upside if the Fed is quite dovish, 573 and 576. And then I believe after we break 576, I do think we go up and can tackle that all-time high on the SPY. However, if the Fed is quite hawkish, which I think a lot of people are expecting him to be with all the tariff situation unresolved and him fearing that inflation will rise its ugly head again, in fact, he's kind of hinted at that, then really the 50-day moving average at 55, you got the 50 EMA on the daily as well, around 55, 56 will be the key area. It seems like we were going to go down and test that until that news broke yesterday about the China negotiations starting officially. I guess all the other stuff had been unofficial. And then, of course, you had the 20 EMA on the daily there at 549. So those would be the areas to the downside. And if we did see either of those areas hit, that would be creating a lower high. So I would still remain bullish. Where would I flip bearish on the SPY? When we see here, number one, the stochastic RSI begin to break down and go below the red line. So if this curls over and go below the red line, I'll look at exiting my SPY position. Or however, if it goes above the 80% line first, crosses below the red, I would then wait for a secondary signal of it also crossing below the 80% line, and I would exit my SPY position there. Okay, we'll look at one more. Palantir has been in the headlines. A lot of talk about this being overvalued. However, I did take some profits here. There is a bit of a double top in play here. So that is a little bit of a warning. Again, watch the blue line. It looks like it's ready to cross on the stochastic RSI. If that does happen, I will be exiting my Palantir position. That will be out. I will be over and out on that. However, I did give the signal in the Tribal Trades Discord there, that beautiful level that came and got hit on Palantir there, and it's already up from the entry that I gave for that. So just be careful. There's a double top there, and also we might see a curl over on the stochastic RSI on the weekly. You can see what happened there when it curled over on the stochastic RSI on the weekly. we did see it drop from 125 all the way down to 67. Okay, so don't say you weren't warned or I wasn't giving you a heads up on those trades. So those are the three trade setups for today: CEP, Palantir, and the SPY there. And again, until I see you again in the next show, or until I see you in the Discord, happy trading.